How could we transform obsessive emotions into freedom? Tonight's lesson is drawn from the 56th verse of Yong-jig xuan-jue's The Song of Enlightenment. Let's chant together. To meditate despite the presence of desire is the power of wisdom's prajna, and why a lotus is not burnt in the fire. Yong-jig committed crimes and realized nothing is born. He became a Buddha and is still one today. So we got a basic dichotomy here. We got obsessive desire, and we have relentless guilt. I was raised a Jew in America, which means I know just a smattering of Yiddish, including the word yenta. Literally, it means matchmaker. Figuratively, it means a nag. It's probably a sexist term. So what desires are the yentas of our heart? What emotions are our yentas? What emotions nag at us? Well, desire unfulfilled is a nagging emotion. Relentless guilt is a nagging emotion. So our job is not to exhaust the front of our brain with self-talk. Our job is not to justify, minimize, or rationalize, or try to justify, minimize, or rationalize these strong emotions out of existence. Au contraire. There's a wonderful line in The Matrix. Actually, it's a portion of a line delivered by Lawrence Fishburne in the role of Morpheus. Or is it Orpheus or Morpheus? I think it's Morpheus. Anywho, the phrase is, like a splinter in your mind driving you mad. And that's really what an obsessive emotion is like, isn't it? It just replays over and over and over again. Lots of lame meditation teachers try to get us to concentrate, ignorant that the portion of the central nervous system that concentrates is this portion right here of our prefrontal cortex. And the problem with that is it causes the blood to pool down here in our amygdala, exciting our experience of both anxiety and aggression. In other words, it makes us a right cranky bastard. So I think it's safe to say that most of us did not turn to meditation to become more cranky. So this is not a useful solution. However, when we are stuck in an emotion, when you experience a nagging emotion such as guilt or frustrated desire, that is effortless mindfulness. You see, every time we breathe in, whether we know it or not, we automatically access our sympathetic nervous system, ensconced within the thoracic region of our spinal cord. It has not evolved for mind blanking. It has not evolved for concentrating. It is evolved to find the middle point between the two, which is to simply notice, and to do it vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. So just by noticing what comes up, we're experiencing an effortless mindfulness because we don't have a choice in the matter. It's kind of like when you were a kid in high school, when someone just walks by you in the hallway, you are aware of them for a moment. When the bully grabs you by the lapel and holds on to you, You're aware of that person for several moments and for as long as the trauma permits. Similarly, when we experience an obsessive emotion, that is an opportunity for effortless mindfulness. Now, lots of people have obsessions. A few people benefit from them. So what is the key to benefiting from occasional effortless mindfulness? Relaxing meditation. But how does that work? Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are effortlessly accessing our parasympathetic nervous system, which is ensconced within the lower lumbar region of our spinal cord, as well as the tippy top of the cervical region, which correlates with either the top of the neck or the bottom of the brain. Together, this parasympathetic nervous system is wired for both physical relaxation and mental release. So here's the irony. Breathe in and notice your obsession. Relax into the inherent non-graspability of that obsession. In-breath, notice. Out-breath, relax. And whether it's comfortable or not, it will increase your mastery, not only of mindfulness and meditation, but also of empathy. You see, the fringe benefit of mindfulness and meditation is that our blood collects not down here in the basement, but over here in the bay window, over here in the anterior cingulate gyrus, just a few centimeters from our forehead. This is the seat of empathy, the hub of our mirror neurons, and so it has been taught by the greater Dzogchen Lamas that the highest love is spontaneous and uncontrived. And when our choices, utterances, and deeds flow from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity, then our life is amazing. Our life is heaven on earth. When that happens, do not be surprised when people refer to you as enlightened. I look forward to chanting and meditating with you after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent more than 8 hours a day, every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Now, before we get going, I thought it would be fun to answer a question from James. Way back in the 80s, when the crust of the earth was still cooling, I first heard tell of the lost years of the Christ, when allegedly he studied with the Eastern masters and learned their techniques. I'm going to do what I normally do and give you some really disappointing input. Here we go. Do I know for certain the Buddha existed? Nope. Do I know for certain the sage existed? No. Do I know for certain the Christ existed? No. Well, doesn't that make my worldview crumble? No. I don't practice what I practice because of a cult of personality. By the way, wasn't that a great song from the early 90s? But anyway, I don't do what I do because of a cult of personality. I do what I do because it works. I've tried a bunch of stuff that doesn't work, and so occasionally when I find something that does, I set it aside for later. So I don't like the idea of loving your neighbor as yourself because some dead Jewish carpenter told me to. I like the idea of loving your neighbor as yourself because it's much better than the alternative. So, do I like the idea that Buddha studied meditation? Oh, for sure. What's not to love about that? Am I convinced of it? I'm not convinced of much. I don't want to be convinced of much. Good old, in the 81 poems of the Tao Te Ching, we learn that on the path of knowledge we acquire every day, but on the path of wisdom we let go every day. So there's much more freedom in saying, I don't know, than saying, oh, I'm so convinced I will launch a holy war to prove me right. Yuck, who needs that? So, the question is not, are certain characters fictitious or literal? The question is not, that certain characters do certain things or not. The question is simply, in the corpus of various teachings, are there tools that make it easier for us to be the people that our dogs or cats already think we are? That's all that matters. As children, we dreamt of being great. Take a survey of a first grade class, and you would expect the world to be populated with doctors, lawyers, astronauts, and Miss Americas. But it's not, is it? As a kid, we long for importance. But as we get older and older, quite often the train to importance done passed us by. It was the express route, and it didn't stop at our station. Although we want to be important, we're wired to want to be important. It's part of our evolutionary momentum. Importance is going to elude us. But as we get older and older, we realize that importance is not what it's cracked up to be. And it's more about, well, I guess it was, what was it? Was it President Kennedy? Was it President? I think it was President Kennedy. I'm not sure if it was Kennedy or Roosevelt. Please let me know. But who was it who said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country? I'm going to guess if it was Kennedy, he might have been when he was talking about the Peace Corps. Who knows? But the older we get, the more we want to help people. And we help people less by saying, look at my awesomeness. Do as I do because I'm just so fucking awesome. That doesn't work very well at all. But if in a time of hypersuggestibility, someone says to you, man, I'm really stressed about this and such. If you can relate to them and say, yeah, man, that sucks. I hate it when that happens. Last time that happened to me, I did this and it worked. And if they do that and it works for them, then they can pass that on. And so it's little techniques here and there that help us to be more and more like the people that our dogs or cats already think we are. And it's little techniques that we can pass on to people, regardless of how great or insignificant we might be. There's a wonderful play that was turned into a movie called Man from Earth. And there's a wonderful truth that humans hate gaps. And so they always fill in the gaps. Sometimes they know they're making things up. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they do it maliciously. Sometimes they do it innocently. But humans fill in the gaps. Humans have a gift for fiction, don't we? Have you ever met a little kid who didn't lie? As when you were, each of us here in this live stream, we were at one time a little kid, and each of us tried our hand at deceit multiple times. Just like one could go blind trying to untie the Gordian knot, similarly, we could get dizzy trying to suss out truths and half-truths and flat-out lies from different yarns, different tales. Sometimes it's better just to use the wonderful meme that was popular about 10 years ago. Cool story, bro. And move on. Look at humans. They're fascinating, aren't they? The ones who cling the tightest to a story are the least peaceful. They're the most uptight, the most cranky. The ones who are the laid back, they're the happiest. They're the most loving. They're the most resilient. If a painting or a tale of a meditating Christ inspires you to meditate, great. Anything that inspires you to do a useful thing or the right thing is wonderful. Whether it's true or half true or not. And now, oh, JFK, thank you, James. You're the man. You know what? I should have made that my lesson tonight. I don't know why I didn't. James, it's so considerate of you to write me before class with these wonderful ideas. One of these days, I will take a crowbar and pull my head out of the warm, dark place I sometimes keep it and turn your questions into full lessons. Anyway, thank you. Let's see. Let's tap button 9. That's what I'm trying to spit out of my maw. Let's practice Shakyamuni's easy Dzogchen from the in the Theravada school. The historical Buddha is known as Gautama or Siddhartha. In the Mahayana school, he's known as Shakyamuni, which is which is sage of the Shakya clan. So let's review the meaning of the mantra. With whom we invoke the example of the Muni wise one. Maha greatly wise one Muni of the Shakya Soha, wishing enlightenment for all. This evening's first practice is known in Tibetan as Lama Kyano, and which translates into English as calling the teacher from afar, or simply, teacher, come here. It is, when taken figuratively, it is an act of energy work that helps us to practice the middle third. The first third is awareness and letting go. The final third is love and letting go. And the middle third is, you guessed it, bliss and letting go. Consider, if you will, this piece of art. Buddha Shakyamuni represents the capacity of our central nervous system to practice mindfulness, meditation, and love. This couple, sporting in tantric union, literally represents the teachings, metaphorically represents the energy that we're coalescing at our crown. During our inhalation, we can silently and mentally recite, Lama, come to this crown. During our exhalation, we can physically relax as best we can into the recitation of this 12-syllable mantra. I should say we could physically relax as best we can while reciting this 12-syllable mantra. Yes, that makes much more sense. So on our left hand, let's count sets, 16 sets of various mantra meditations. So for our first mantra meditation, or to keep track of our first mantra meditation, let's touch the tip of our left thumb to our left little finger and slide it down to the first set of creases. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Soha. 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 Next breath. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Soha. 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 Having practiced bliss and letting go, we now prepare for awareness and letting go. As children, the first bicycle we received most likely came with training wheels, which, although clunky, got the job done. This evening, our first meditation is going to be likewise ungainly. What is the key to practicing sati, pasadis, mindfulness, and meditation, the 7th and 8th folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path? Simple. During our inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. And during our exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. So what I'd like to do is this. I'd like to practice this. Now, for about 17 breaths. Now, I'm going to breathe faster than you because I'm doing all this jabbering. But so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to count to 16 on the creases and tips of my right four fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now, of course, I'm doing it much slower, and I'm advancing my thumb during each inhalation. But what about the 17th repetition, the 17th round? I keep track of that simply by touching the tip of my right little finger to the great knuckle of the base of my left little finger, just like that. Boop. And if I decide to do a second set, then I just advance it to the second knuckle. Now, if you would say to me, that seems ungainly, well, you'd be right, it is. And like any habit, it takes a week or two to learn. On second thought, I think it could be fun if we played with a different text tonight. Please bear with me. Let us chant the essentialization of the second, first, and sixth folds of the Buddhist Eightfold Path, simply not as a prayer, but as a mnemonic device. Together. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and confusion. So that's empathy, which is beautiful, the second fold of the Eightfold Path. It's also inferring change, the first fold of the Eightfold Path. Let's continue. By taking refuge in the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. So this is a reference once again to interdependence, the first fold of the Eightfold Path, but also to the sixth fold of the Eightfold Path, enthusiasm. Now this was fun, but it's a little ungainly. So let's play with a more concise and figurative version of the same sentiment and do so thrice. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. And hopefully, as I've already mentioned, mindfulness is the seventh fold of the Eightfold Path, and meditation, that's the eighth fold. So now let us remove the first of two metaphoric training wheels, thus reducing the length or duration of our contemplative exercise from 12 syllables down to just 3. We're going to do this twice. The first time we're going to do it mainly physically. How do we do that? During the inhalation, we silently and mentally recite sitting tall, reminding ourselves to generate a vertical traction between our tuchus and our head. During our exhalation, we silently and mentally recite relaxing. So, what's the easiest way to practice mindfulness? Well, during our inhalation, let me back up for a second. During the lesson, we talked about how we're already wired for mindfulness and meditation. But sometimes the big old 3-pound supercomputer between our head gets in the way. So, like giving a kid a flashlight and telling it to hold still, that way they'll be helping daddy fix the sink, we can give our big old brain something to do. So instead of getting in our way, it will align with us intentionally. How do we do that? Simple. During the inhalation, we get to, our brain gets to support mindfulness by simply reciting, notice this. And during our exhalation, our brain gets to support meditation by silently and mentally reciting relaxing. Now, is it making us relax? No, that's what our parasympathetic nervous system is doing. But these words are helping the big old brain to be in alignment with our autonomic nervous system, which is much better than stepping on our own dick. Now let's remove the second of two metaphoric training wheels, reducing the length of our contemplative recitation from 3 syllables down to just 1. During our inhalation, we can silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. During our exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax. Now that we've reached contemplative cruising altitude, I invite you to, together with me as a team, to meditate as transformatively as Rey on Ahch-To under the guidance of Luke Skywalker. I would very much like to explore the iconography of this archetype. Known in Sanskrit as Samantabhadra, Samantabhadri, Karamamudra, which translates into Tibetan as Kuntu Zangpo, Kuntu Zangmo, Yabyum, which could literally translate into English as the all-good one, the all-good one, mother and father in tantric union. But I find it to be much more fun to translate it as cloud gal and sky guy doing the hibbity-dibbity. So let's start with a bit of the old review. Every time we breathe in, whether we know it or not, we are effortlessly and automatically accessing our sympathetic nervous system, ensconced within the thoracic spine. It is not evolved for mind blanking or concentration, but for the middle ground between those two extremes, to simply notice, and to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. All that is typified in the nudity of cloud gal and sky guy. Every time we relax, every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are effortlessly and automatically accessing our parasympathetic nervous system, ensconced within the lower lumbar region and the tippy top of our cervical region of that same spinal cord. It has evolved to support our physical relaxation and our mental release. In fact, as we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation can now feel as if it was as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could be tantalizing to the eye, is non-graspable to the hand. Perhaps that is why Cloud Gal and Sky Guy are depicted as being translucent and incorporeal. A fringe benefit of mindfulness and meditation is that instead of our blood pooling at our amygdala, seat of anxiety and aggression, it pools at our anterior cingulate gyrus, the seat of empathy. Perhaps that is why Cloud Gal and Sky Guy are depicted as beautiful. Notice how Cloud Gal is sporting in what's the word I was looking for? Sporting in tantric union with abandon. This could remind us that spontaneity is superior to contrivance. Notice how Sky Guy is depicted as participating in tantric union in a distinctly centered and peaceful manner. This could remind us that not all spontaneity need be scattered. The greatest spontaneity, the most useful spontaneity, is centered. The highest love is spontaneous and uncontrived. When our choices, utterances, and deeds flow from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity, our life can be a paradise. If you've just joined me, as you breathe in, please silently and mentally recite this. That's the way we practice mindfulness. With each exhalation, please silently and mentally recite ease, which is a synonym of relax. That's how we practice meditation. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever circumstance we notice during our inhalation could feel as if it was as non-graspable as a Buddha's real or imagined paradise comprised only of light. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever body we experience during our inhalation could feel as if it was as non-graspable as a real or imagined Buddha, comprised only of light. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever experience of the interpersonal we might have experienced during the inhalation could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a real or imagined multisyllabic mantra comprised only of light. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever experience, whatever experience of mind we might have experienced during the inhalation could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a one-syllable mantra comprised, as a real or imagined one-syllable mantra comprised only of light. Okay, that was exciting. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever jealousy we may experience during our inhalation could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as Amagosadi Karma Mudra comprised only of light. All right. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever confusion we experience during our inhalation could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a Buddha a real or imagined Buddha comprised only of white light. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever greed we may experience during our inhalation can begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a real or imagined Buddha comprised only of golden light. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever pride we might have experienced during our inhalation could feel as if it was as non-graspable as a real or imagined Buddha comprised only of golden light. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever greed we notice during our inhalation can begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a real or imagined Buddha comprised only of ruby light. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever hate we might have experienced during our inhalation could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a real or imagined Buddha comprised only of sapphire light. Let us seal our practice with by chanting with the 2 recitations of kind ethics and the 4 immeasurables. May all beings practice of kind communication, conduct, and calmness, spontaneous and uncontrived. May everyone be free from misery. May everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hate and craving and confusion freed. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10.5 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.